Well, welcome to my astrology for the full moon in Scorpio, which is happening now. It actually, the full moon, which hasn't risen yet, which will come over the crest of this hill in a little while, in about, probably about 7 minutes. It actually went full at about, I think it was 12:45 Central European time today. And hi, Jerry. I think I've sent you a wave. Well, I'm trying to anyway, but there you go. And so, what does the full moon in Scorpio, what does it represent? So let me try and unpack that for you a bit, because this is the last supermoon of 2020. So interesting. Now, what you have to remember is we are actually sitting on a ball of rock, which has a molten lava center to it, okay? And we are spinning, and at the same time as we're spinning, we're also spinning round the sun. And the moon is also caught in our gravitational field, so it's caught in our gravitational field, and it goes round our planet Earth. So when the moon is full, what happens is all the sunlight from the sun, which is in the opposite sign of Taurus for this Scorpio full moon, because they are opposite each other, and they're always opposite each other, because that's how the solar system works. And so the full moon has the light shined on it from the sun, okay, which is shedding light on this Scorpio full moon. Now, what is so significant about this full moon? Well, first of all, in kind of symbolism, it's what's known as the flower moon, which I think is quite nice, because it's the time of year when all the flowers start to kind of bloom and show their little faces to the world. So, you know, certainly in some of the Northern Hemisphere countries, we get things like bluebells and forget-me-nots and all of these lily of the valley, some beautiful, beautiful plants. And I hope someone will keep a watch out on that horizon for me and let me know when they see the moon poking above it, because it'll help me. And anyway, so what we have to remember is that this Scorpio full moon is in the fixed sign of Scorpio. Taurus and Scorpio are what we call fixed signs. Now, Taurus is an earth sign and Scorpio is a water sign. Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is about relating and acquisitions, possessions, money, that kind of thing. And Scorpio is ruled by the planet Pluto. Now, the planet Pluto really is a very interesting planet, because it's actually known as a dwarf planet. And it probably is made up of rock mostly, and it probably has a core. And it's known as a dwarf planet because it actually lives in a kind of belt that we call the Kuiper belt, which is way, way out in our solar system. And Pluto wasn't even discovered till, I can't remember the exact number of years, but someone will tell me, someone will Google it and tell me. But it hasn't been around for very long, because in kind of traditional astrology, we only dealt with the inner planets and the kind of the big boys, as I call them, the sort of, Jupiter, Pluto, Uranus. Well, we didn't deal with Pluto yet because we didn't know about Pluto, but Jupiter, Saturn. And then along came Pluto. And, you know, you come in and you've got Neptune, and then you've got Saturn. Oh, hi. Hi, Mike Robe. Nice to see you. I'm going to send you a wave. So as we go on with this, looking about this Kuiper belt, so Pluto up there became the ruler of Scorpio. Now, why is Scorpio significant? Well, if any of you out there are Scorpios, you will actually know what you're like. And you'll know that you are, on one level, very private, secretive people. And yet you have depths which possibly you rarely show to people unless they are really your nearest and dearest and most trusted. So Scorpio is quite a deep sign. It's very sensual. It's sexual. It's it's secretive. So you see, the full moon is about the moon having the light of the sun shone on it. So I mean, it's like saying it's revealing. The sun is revealing the full moon in Scorpio. So what we have to think is what is about to be revealed, or what may have already been revealed over the last few days. And probably you have noticed the energy of this full moon building up over the last few days. It's always more apparent in the few days leading up to a full moon. So we'll feel tetchy, irritable, frustrated, kind of like, just not okay. And then what's interesting is that when the full moon actually comes, so the day of the full moon, and one usually finds that at that point, on the day of the full moon, which is today, you actually don't feel too bad. You feel like something. It's almost like when you have an abscess or some spot or something that is lanced. It's like, the relief. The moment has come when it's full. It's transforming. And that brings us back to Pluto, this wonderful little planet that lives in the Kuiper belt, this dwarf planet. Pluto is transforming. It transitions us. So you might like to think, what's happening in your life at the moment that needs to transform? Have you allowed it to transform? Are you kind of hiding away from things that really need to be looked at? And that might be in your own self. How much have you gone into your own inner world and allowed yourself to go within, especially with this current situation that we find ourselves in? Here we are in this crisis of quarantine, isolation, lockdown. So how have you benefited from this time? Because it's been a wonderful time for people to go within and to really find out what they're truly made of, to find their gold within. Now, if you've done that, if you've been able to go with that, then, this full moon could be very transforming for you, so that you find you have a kind of like aha moment, or maybe several aha moments where things suddenly, finally fall into place and you really get the sense of what all this is about for you. Now, we have to also not forget that we have Taurus opposite Scorpio, and this Scorpio full moon and Pluto. Now, the sun at the moment in Taurus is conjunct Mercury in Taurus. So transiting Mercury is in Taurus. So we might think, so how does Taurus feel with Mercury inhabiting its space? Because Mercury's quick thinking and it likes to kind of, whiz around and come out with really kind of colourful, quick comments. And so that Mercury in Taurus has to be more grounded, because Taurus is an earth sign and it's more grounded. So it means that Mercury has really got to kind of think more logically about things. And it may be that you will begin to really kind of sort of face up to certain maybe realities to do with your possessions, your home, and just kind of see it with the bigger picture. So here we have this going on, but we can't forget what's been going on in one of our other Earth signs, Capricorn, because we have Pluto transiting Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn, and they make quite an interesting angle to the Sun and therefore the Moon at the moment in Scorpio. Now, what does this mean? Well, I think what it means is it highlights all the areas that we've had to face up to and look at in the past, kind of. Let's just see if that moon's coming up yet. No, oh God. All the stuff I was told was wrong on Google. Anyway, it'll come. And so what we have to do is kind of think, well, I wonder whether this Scorpio moon, full moon of revelation, is actually going to transform our thinking about this whole situation around the current crisis that we find ourselves in. I wonder whether we will start to see that there could actually be some benefit, that there could actually be something quite good, something transforming. Pluto wants to transform. Pluto wants to be the phoenix that rises from the ashes. Pluto wants to say, hey, we've been down. We've been really kind of like, buried with all of this, but we can rise up. We can be reborn, and it will be amazing. So those are the possibilities that we can have with Pluto and Scorpio and this full moon. And remember, as Pluto in Capricorn, which is an earth sign, so Pluto's not that comfortable in Capricorn. So Pluto is really going to kind of make its point and sort of say, look, things have got to change. And I mean, I think we can see that in a very general sense in our attitude to how we have been looking after our planet, or rather not looking after our planet, because the planet has rather kind of told us to go and sit on the naughty chair and reflect. So maybe this full moon is kind of a realization of the reflection that we will have done whilst we've been locked down, literally. And as the moon moves on towards its next phase, which will be, I think it's on the 22nd of May, there will be a new moon in Gemini. Now, Gemini is about communication. So I wonder whether there will be more opening up of communication when we get there. I mean, it's all going to become, it's getting darker. And where's that bloody moon? Well, the moon will appear in a minute, but how interesting how quickly it suddenly gets dark. It's really fascinating. God, I sound like that, what was his name? Bellamy, the one who talks about how wonderful all the animals are. But what I really wanted to do was to be able to show you the moon. And I just cannot believe that it hasn't risen yet and it's not around, because it normally comes up over there. There's a bat. There's a bat, I don't know if you can see that. I rescued one of those the other day from the pool. And it normally comes up over that hill over there. And it told me on the moonrise on Valletta that it would rise at 8:05. So that's 20:05, and it's now 2014. So I'm not sure where this moon has gone. But you know what? Isn't that interesting? Because if you think about it, what is interesting is that Scorpio and Pluto are about mystery. And this is becoming mysterious. And I'm now going to tell you a story. And if by the end of the story the moon has not appeared and the cloud cover has, lessened, there's no cloud cover now, so there's no reason why it shouldn't show itself to us. But I'm going to tell you a story which helps to underline what the scorpionic personality can be like. So it's a short story, and the short story is that once upon a time, there was a turtle and a scorpion. Now, the turtle and the scorpion, they met on the banks of a river. And on this river what happened was the Scorpion said, I would really like to go to the other side of the river. And the turtle said, well, I could give you a lift. Oh, Andrea's just told me it's coming. Oh, fantastic, and it's pink. So I'll just slow this story out a bit so that we get the story of the turtle and the Scorpion. Right, so the turtle says to the Scorpion, okay, that if I give you a lift to the other side of the river, how do I know that when we get out to the middle of the river, you won't kill me? Because, you know, scorpions have the sting in the tail and everything. So, you know, the turtle is understandably kind of worried about this. So the Scorpion says to the turtle, hey, you know, hi. Oh, here it is. And I'll tell the story while we see it. Hopefully you can see it. Hang on, let me see if I can get it. Hold on. Right, oh, absolutely beautiful, but have I got it? Tell me if you can see it. Hang on. I can see it, but can you see it? Anyway, okay, so the turtle says he would like to, he will give the Scorpion a lift to the other side of the river. And he says, how do I know that you won't try and kill me halfway across? And the Scorpion says, well, that's really silly, isn't it? Because if I do that, he said, I will die too, because I can't swim, and I'd be in the middle of the river and I'd drown. So the turtle goes, yeah, hey, good point. Okay, in that case, hop on, we'll go. Oh, there it is. You can see it now, just over there. There, I can just about touch it. Oh, hang on. There we go. There's the moon, pink. Hopefully it'll rise a bit higher and be larger, and we'll really get its full glory. So, okay, so the turtle says, okay then, let's go for it. Hop on. So off they go, paddling across the river. And when they get out to the centre of the lake, the turtle, of course, has to put out his kind of neck and fleshy bits to just kind of really paddle properly, because they've kind of floated halfway across just to kind of get to the middle of the river. And then they get to the middle and off they go, and the turtle puts out his legs and his neck, and at that point he feels this sting in his neck. And as the turtle is going down, dying, with the Scorpion, I have to say, on it, the turtle says, why? You're going to die too. And the Scorpion says, ah, yes, but I got you, didn't I? Now, you may have to think about that, but it's a very interesting one to think about, because, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn the camera around so that we can do this moon. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. There we go. Perfect. So you see, the thing is with the Scorpion, it has to have the last word. Now, any of you Scorpios out there, I don't know whether you agree with that, whether you're like that, or whether you'd even own up to it. But there is something, I mean, Scorpio is a wonderful sign because it is transforming, and it can take you to heights and depths that you could never possibly go to with perhaps another sign. And with the earthy quality of the Taurus on the other side there, kind of grounding it, helping it kind of really sort of, you know, earth itself, then it is really quite amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with just few more views of this beautiful, beautiful moon. And thank goodness it came up. Well, I suppose it always does, really. But there you go. And thank you so much for joining me for this, in collaboration with Gozo in the House and Andrea Britton, this collaboration of our mutual talents to bring to you tonight the debut of Planetary Penny discussing the full moon. I will be back to discuss the new moon in Gemini on the 22nd of May, so we'll organise that one. We may not get pretty pictures for that. It'll just be probably a more kind of quieter affair. But this full moon is a special one. Enjoy it, transform, listen to the lessons you're being taught by all of this isolation and inner work. Just allow it to really kind of transform you, and allow you to also rise like the phoenix from the ashes. God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining me at this late hour. Well, it's not late, of course, I know it isn't, but you know, in isolation land, it's quite early. It's quite late for me in isolation land. But anyway, thanks so much, all of you. And don't forget that also Gozo in the House are doing a special Mother's Day promotion. And if you nominate a mother, and that mother gets nominated and picked, then that mother gets a lovely bunch of flowers. And anyway, Andrea will post more about that. And I just wish you all the best of full moons and the best of everything. Thank you. Good night.